Hi, my name is Ahuva Khazan-Fuchs. I'm the Principal Product Manager of MGN, AWS Application Migration Service, and I'm happy to be here today with you. We're going to talk about move and improving your applications with AWS Application Migration Services. So what can you expect? I'm going to start with an introduction to MGN, an introduction to AWS Application Migration Service. Then we're going to have a demo. I'll walk through how MGN works and show you some of the console, and also give you some tips on how to get started. MGN, AWS Application Migration Service, is an AWS service built by the Cloud Endure team. And we have about 10 years of experience migrating our customers into cloud environments like AWS Cloud. And we've actually learned a lot from the customers we've migrated. And we've seen lots of benefits from moving to the cloud. 31% of customers reported an average of 31% infrastructure cost savings and 7 times fewer downtime once they migrated to the cloud. IT staff productivity was boosted and more features were delivered per year. 3 times more features were delivered by some customers once they migrated to the cloud. So many benefits of moving to the cloud. We see many business drivers for migrating to the cloud, and moving to the cloud is now very common across all different verticals across the world. We see agility and staff productivity due to moving to the cloud. Many customers have reasons such as end of life of hardware or software, which motivates them to move to the cloud, or a data center. Maybe their lease is running out on their data center, or they want to consolidate, and that's an incentive for moving to the cloud. Or mergers and acquisitions. One of the customers that I met with frequently purchased and acquired new companies, and they've been a customer of MGN, of Cloud Endure, for many, many years. Each time they acquired a company, they rapidly went into a process of migrating the newly acquired company into AWS Cloud using our services. And this is a fairly common use case of a customer that we've been working with for many, many years. Customers want to enjoy improved security and operational resiliency. MGN can help with that. Cost reduction is important for many customers who don't have unlimited budgets, and money is really important. So these are some of the business drivers for migrating to the cloud, common across many of the customers that we've worked with. Moving to the cloud is not a one-time only operation. It's actually a journey. And this is something that we've seen where customers begin on-prem and then start rehosting and moving to AWS Cloud. And this is a long journey over time and not a one-time only action. Typically what we see is that customers on-prem start small. They're going to migrate some servers, rehost them into AWS, and learn how to operate those servers or applications in AWS. And then they're going to do that again as their IT, as their people get used to working on the cloud, learn the technology, and after a few such iterations, they're up and running and increase velocity and migrate many more servers to the cloud. Once they rehost servers to the cloud, modernization doesn't end. Maybe they're going to start with resizing the hardware, the software, right-sizing. Much easier to do on the cloud than it is to do on-prem. Or work on future modernization with an end goal of reaching modern cloud-native architecture with containers and serverless. And they're going to start breaking that rehosted server, breaking down monolith applications into microservices, launching Docker containers in EKS or ECS. And these are things that we see again and again, a journey to the cloud. And customers are typically not only in one spot in their journey at one time. So they may have some servers which are still on-prem, some which have been rehosted, lift and shift, kept the same way they are now, some moving to managed services, and some doing the full journey to full cloud native, Docker containers, serverless, whatever they were interested in doing. And as the cost of compute goes down, the innovation velocity goes up. This is a common trend. As we've worked with customers, we've also encountered some challenges, and we see trends that repeat across our customer base. Customers have many diverse infrastructure and OS types. It's not one and done. There are all kinds. Legacy applications. Customers have great new applications and lots of legacy applications too. Complex databases, most applications do run in databases, and customers want to migrate their applications with their databases. Continuously changing workloads. Customers migrate applications that they care about and they use and want to continue using. These applications are busy, and any interruption is critical. Downtime and performance disruptions are crucial for our customers, and customers are looking for ways that they can migrate continuously changing workloads with minimum downtime and interruption. And tight project timelines and limited budgets. All of our customers, or at least many of our customers, have a project deadline, they have limited budgets, and it's really important that they could be predictable and achieve their goals in the budget and the timelines that they prescribed for their migration. AWS has a broad set of migration capabilities, and typically we break down the migration journey into 3 distinct sections. The first part is assess. It's how you build your business case to support your decision to migrate to the cloud, and there are many tools that can help you assist you in building that business case. In the second stage is the mobilization, where you plan the support, you break down your inventory, discover your inventory, break it down into waves, and plan your migration into AWS. And the final stage is the actual migration. And when it comes down to migration, AWS Application Migration Service is a great service to help you with your executing your migration plans. Using MGN, you can rehost your applications into AWS Cloud, and you can also modernize them. And what we found is that a way to rapidly get presence in the cloud and achieve success is by first rehosting your applications without changing your applications or workloads. And once you're in the cloud, you can continue your modernization journey in the cloud, and it's easier to do that. And MGN can help you both with your migration and your modernization. What we found is that by first migrating and then modernizing, you actually increase your ability to succeed in the cloud. First of all, by showing success, by having an active application running in the cloud successfully. That earns trust. Also, because once you're in the cloud, it's much easier for you to perform modernizations, to perform backup, utilizing the cloud-native tools in your migration journey. And also because lift and shift migrations are typically pretty quick. And you start a migration, you can complete it within your schedule, earn the trust, earn their experience before you continue in your journey. So this pattern of move and improve using MGN is something that we've seen a lot of success with our customer base. MGN as a service supports a wide variety of applications, databases, operating systems, and infrastructure. MGN uses block level verification technology. I'm going to show you a bit under the hood a bit later. But using this technology allows us to replicate and clone your applications into the cloud no matter what the application is. Whether it's Oracle or SharePoint or Active Directory, you can use MGN to clone your application into the cloud. And any database, SQL Server, Oracle, SAP HANA, MGN supports migrating them. Any x86 operating systems, Windows, Linux, MGN supports it. We even support some legacy OSs. Windows Server 2003 is an example. Some of our customers have a huge workload, and they have a few Windows Server machines. Now, these are old machines which are running critical workloads. If the workload was not critical, customers would have gotten rid of these old machines before. If they could upgrade them, they would have upgraded them already. So some customers have critical workloads running on legacy OSs, and MGN can handle those legacy OSs, migrate those applications to AWS Cloud, ensuring that you can continue using your really important critical applications and migrate your full workload using MGN and any source infrastructure. We can migrate applications from VMware, from other cloud vendors, from Hyper-V into AWS using MGN. So really a wide variety. And the ability to migrate your full workload with MGN is a prime benefit of the service. We've learned a lot from working with customers over many, many years. The flexibility of migrating from any source, the wide range of operating systems and applications, the reliability, the fact that within MGN it's predictable, it's non-disruptive. These are features that are really, really important to many, many customers. Also using MGN, you can achieve high level of security. MGN is ISO certified, SOC 2, has HIPAA compliance, PCI compliance, so many common compliances to ensure that we're reaching the high level our customers expect from us. And so we support full automation. So anything you could do with MGN console, you could also do through the APIs. And many of our customers do that. We have customers who are migrating hundreds or thousands of servers using MGN, and they use automation. Nobody migrates thousands of servers one by one. They use our MGN technology using our APIs and programmatic access to automate the full process and achieve high velocities of migrations. MGN also leads you through the lifecycle of migration. So we start with replicating and testing your environments and staging environments before you move to production, and then leading to production environments, ensuring short cutover windows and minimal downtime as you're migrating to AWS Cloud. These are features that are really important to many enterprise customers, to many customers that we work with. I want to peek under the hood a little bit and tell you about the technology, tell you about how MGN works. This is a typical diagram where on one side we have the source data center, which could be a corporate data center or any cloud. On the other side, we have the AWS cloud. And we start on your local data center. On your local data center, you're going to be installing the AWS replication agent on each of your source servers. This replication engine is what MGN uses to replicate using block level replication and copy your data into the MGN staging area subnet. This all happens within your own account, secured, compressed, and encrypted. Once we copy the full disk of your source environment into the staging area, we copy it to EBS volumes, and they're located in the staging area, and we continually update and continuously replicate the data. So any changes to your source server continue to be replicated into the staging area. When you're fully replicated and ready, it's time to test your environment, launch test instances within your AWS account. The first thing you're going to do is launch a test instance, an EC2 instance, and associate the EBS volumes with this test instance within your account. During this time, we continue with the block level replication to ensure that any changes done to your source system, which is still in production, continue to get replicated. When you're ready and you're sure that everything is tested and everything is ready for cutover, that's the time that you shut down your source environment, launch your cutover instances, and move into production. This is typically something that can be done within minutes per server, once you're ready. So this is a peek under the hood to how MGN can replicate and clone your machines into AWS. There's also an agentless option. If you're running on vCenter, we can install one appliance which will handle the replication of your data into the staging area so that you don't need to install an agent on every machine. And that's another option available within MGN. MGN has the ability to clone your machines that rehost, move them into AWS. But once you're in AWS, MGN can also help you modernize your application. We currently support 4 modernization actions. The first one we support is installing an SSM agent. SSM agent allows you to run multiple scripts or documents on your launch instances within EC2 and to perform many actions that you're interested in doing. This is very customizable. Another action we support is configuring disaster recovery on each of your instances. So when you migrate your workload to AWS Cloud, you can also configure disaster recovery, ensuring that you have high level of resiliency for your applications within AWS. We can also support converting a CentOS operating system to Rocky Linux, or converting a SUSE Bring Your Own Subscription license to an AWS license. So these are post-migration actions supported currently in MGN. Additional actions will be supported in the future. I want to share with you a few customer stories, things that we've learned from working with our customers. So one use case is Inmarsat. And Inmarsat migrated 1,500 servers using MGN into AWS, and their velocity was around 120 servers per month. So that was pretty quick. And within 6 months, they moved 65% of their IT infrastructure into AWS, and they were really, really happy. Without using MGN or Cloud Endure, which allows the lift and shift migration, the move and improve migrations into AWS, it would have taken them years to migrate all their workloads, which included SharePoint and SQL Server and Java. All of that was fully migrated into AWS really, really quickly. Another use case is the U.S. Defense Logistics Agency, DLA. Now, DLA only moved 5 applications using Cloud Endure, but those 5 applications were comprised of 200 virtual machines, and they moved over 300 terabytes of data. And this is a case where the schedule was really important. And they accelerated their migration and actually completed the migration 6 weeks ahead of schedule. And as you can imagine, this was really, really critical for this customer, managing to predictably achieve their goals, fully migrate to AWS Cloud ahead of schedule. So they were really, really happy. DB Systel UK is another use case, which is actually pretty typical for many of our customers. DB Systel had an end date. They had a lease on their data center and was really where they had to vacate their data center by a certain date. So schedule was really important here. And they managed to meet their deadline, exit their data center before the lease was over. But beyond that, timing was important. Having very minimum disruption and a very short cutover window was critical for the applications. They achieved a 30-minute cutover window. They were really happy with this performance. And this is another example of a customer who migrated using MGN and Cloud Endure. You may be wondering how much this costs. So let's talk a bit about pricing for the MGN service. The MGN service is free of cost for migrating each server for 90 days. So you can migrate each server for free for 90 days. For a specific server who the migration takes longer than 90 days, you'll be charged per hour at the rates that appear here on the screen. Now, most of our customers don't pay MGN anything for the service use because they complete the migration of each server within the first 90 days. Now, their migration project may take a year, but each server is migrated pretty quickly and they enjoy the benefits of free usage of MGN. There are costs associated with the use of MGN, but it's the AWS infrastructure used by MGN. So the EC2 instances that you launch, the EBS volumes, and those are charged at the regular rates for your account. I want to mention two programs that can really help offset some of the costs and really help you accelerate your migration. One is the Migration Acceleration Program, the MAP program. This is one of our flagship programs to help accelerate your migration to AWS. And the MAP program, and that's a contract that you need to sign individually, but it provides you a methodology. It provides you access to partners who can help you with the migration, who have experience doing this many times. It can give you access to professional services, to training, and also includes credits and benefits for participating in this program. So if you have a large migration, please do look up this program. It could be really helpful, and we've seen it work with many customers to accelerate and help their move to the cloud. Another program is the Windows Migration Acceleration, the WMA program for migrations done with MGN. And the way this program works, and this is a program that can be combined with MAP program or any other program that you're already involved in. So this is a program beyond any existing program. And using this program, we aim to accelerate workloads. So if you migrate at least 40 servers per month, of them 15 are Windows servers, we will give you credit of $200 credit per migrated Windows server. And if you achieve a higher velocity and manage to migrate more than 80 servers per month, of those at least 25 are Windows servers, you will get $250 credit per migrated Windows server. We calculate this on your behalf, so once you're registered for the program, you will automatically get credits for every month in which you manage to achieve the goal. So every month where you achieve either 40 or more servers or 80 or more servers, depending on your velocity. And some of our customers use the WMA program to pay for ProServe services to help migrate quicker or to fund future migrations. And that's a great benefit of using the WMA, of joining the WMA project. So both MAP program and WMA program can help accelerate your migration, and I really offer you to participate in these programs when migrating using MGN. With that, I would like to now launch a demo. I'm going to actually show you MGN. I'm going to show you how we install a client on a source server. I'm going to show you how we start replicating into AWS using MGN, and let's get started. I want to show you a short demo of using MGN. To start with, we're accessing the MGN console, the Application Migration Service console within the AWS console. So this is the landing page of MGN, clicking on the Source Server tab, and I'm displaying a list of source servers that are currently being replicated. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to install the MGN agent on a source server, which is not on the list, because I want to start migrating it. So let me access my source server. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the source server using SSH. So here I have a terminal. I'm connected to my source server. I'm then going to go to MGN. I want to add a source server. My machine happens to be a SUSE Linux machine. I'm going to copy the command to download the installer. Okay, the MGN agent is now downloaded. The next thing I want to do is install it. I again go to my console. I copy the command to install my agent. Go back to my terminal, and the installation has begun. The next thing it's asking for me is my AWS access key ID. I'm going to copy that. Paste my secret. Now it's asking me which disks it wants to replicate. So on my source server, I can have multiple disks. I can choose if I want to replicate and clone all the disks or only some of them. In this case, I'm going to click OK, meaning please replicate all the disks on my machine. This process will take a few minutes where the installation is being downloaded and installing on my source machine. When this process completes, I'm actually going to be able to see within my MGN console, I'm going to be able to see this server. Because this takes a little bit of time, we're going to come back and look at this later. If I go back to my MGN console, I have a list of source servers that are already replicating into MGN. For example, this source server. I can see its lifecycle. So it started by being not ready, but it's now ready for testing. What does ready for testing mean? It means that the initial application finished. I installed the agent, all of the data copied into MGN, replication is finished, and it's now ready for testing. I could launch a test instance of this source server and test it out in my staging environment. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it's ready for testing. I choose to launch a test instance. And this process begins. I can see the launch details above. And I can see the process is beginning. I want to show you another server which has already been launched. So in this case, I have a server where the test is in progress. It is launched successfully, and I could take this server, which is now launched successfully in EC2, and look it up in EC2. That was my goal. I had a source server on-prem or in another cloud or another region, and I want to launch it in AWS in the EC2 console. I could open my EC2 console and take a peek at that server. So this server is available here in US East. It's running. Its status is healthy. It's now launched and ready. I can also connect it, test it in production, make sure it's working well for me. I also mentioned that using MGN, you can execute post-launch actions, and I want to show you those. With MGN, there are a few actions that can be performed. We can configure disaster recovery for your application, in which case we're going to be cloning your machine into another region so that you have resilience for your application. Or we can convert your CentOS operating system to Rocky Linux distribution, or we can change your SUSE Linux subscription to an AWS provided SUSE subscription. And to do this, you edit the settings and select the checkbox, and you choose if I want to configure disaster recovery, the first thing that you do is you check the checkbox to enable the feature, you choose the target region. So I'm in North Virginia, so I'm going to choose another region to protect against any issues which are regional, and then I will confirm that I want to save the settings, and when I launch this instance, automatically these actions will be performed. So these are actions this is an instance that I ran previously, and I could look at the status. I can see that the SSM agent was installed and this was successfully, this completed. I can see that the DR after migration was activated. This server is already being replicated and disaster recovery is being configured. And I could go to the DR console, to the DRS console, and see this server which was launched by MGN automatically. So I now migrated a server from on-prem to AWS. Within AWS, I also configured a disaster recovery site, a secondary site. The disaster recovery site is already ready for recovery, and I can perform drills and anything that I want to do on my disaster recovery site. So this is the life cycle of migrating a server using MGN. Let's go back to the source server list, and we can see the server that we just installed. This is the server that we just installed. It's not yet ready. It's still initiating and waiting for the initial sync to complete. But because I installed the agent, the process has already begun. Let's drill into the server and just look at its status a little bit. It's not ready. The replication hasn't completed yet. The progress of the replication is still at 0, but some steps have already been done. So I can see that we created the security groups and launched a replication server and performed multiple actions. And now it's waiting to start the data transfer. So this will happen. This is going to start. The replication will become in progress. And once it's complete, it'll become ready for testing, and I can launch an instance. So that's a demo of using MGN. What we've just seen is installing an agent on a source server. We saw the replication into a MGN, into your account using MGN. We saw how you can launch a test instance or a production instance, and we saw the modernization actions that can be applied on your servers post-migration. That completes the demo. Let's go back to our presentation. How do you get started using MGN? So the first thing you're going to do is visit the console, install agents, and begin the replication. Then conduct non-destructive tests. During this time, your source environment continues to run untouched. Once you're happy, you've tested everything works, now's the time to shut down your source environment, perform a cutover, and go into production. This is a free service. You can start by migrating one server. It's an easy, low-risk way to try out the cloud, learn about the migration process, and achieve a quick win. If you choose to use AWS MGN modernizations, they're applied after the applications are migrated during the testing and cutover periods. There are many resources available to help you on your migration journey. Using MGN, I encourage you to visit the AWS Application Migration Service product page. There's a lot of good resources available there. Use the MGN Service Console to set up and operate the free service. You could take the free MGN Technical Introduction Training to help you get started. If you have a team, you can schedule a migration immersion day to help your whole IT or your whole team of people ramp up and learn how to perform the migration process. Feel free to review our technical documentation. It's available online. I encourage you to check if you qualify for a WMA for the Windows Migration Accelerator program to help offset some of the migration costs. And of course, utilize product support if you need it. AWS Premium support is available for this service. So with that, I would like to pause for a bit and ask if you have any questions about anything that you've heard today or any of your migration questions that I can answer for you.